Hello everyone, welcome back to my Easy Grade YouTube channel. Today we are going to learn an important history lesson called The Advent of Europeans to India. In this chapter we will see how European countries like Portuguese, Dutch, English and French came to India for first trade and later slowly started controlling Indian territories. This lesson is very important because it explains how British rule actually began in India. So, watch the video till the end and let's start the lesson. First, we will start with introduction. India was one of the richest countries in the world during ancient and medieval times. Indian spices, silk, cotton, textiles, and precious stones were famous all over Europe. European countries were attracted by the wealth of India and wanted direct trade relations with India. The arrival of Europeans brought major political, economical, and social changes in Indian history. Now, before understanding the arrival of Europeans, first we should know why India attracted them so much because during ancient times and medieval times India was considered one of the richest country in the world. Okay, Indian spices, silk clothes, cotton textiles and precious stones were very famous in European countries. Okay, because European people highly depended on Indian goods because these products were not easily available in Europe. So, European people highly depended on India, especially for spices were very valuable there because they were used for cooking, preserving food, and even for medicines also. Because of this, European countries wanted direct trade relations with India, and slowly their arrival changed Indian history politically, economically, and socially. Okay, and next we will study the meaning of advent of Europeans. The word advent means arrival. The arrival of European trades like Portuguese, Dutch, English, and French to India for trade and later political control is called the advent of Europeans to India. Now first let us understand the meaning of word advent. The advent means arrival. Okay. So when we say the advent of Europeans to India, it means the arrival of European traders like Portuguese, Dutch, English and French to India. Initially they come only for business and trade purposes. They wanted to buy Indian goods and sell them in Europe for a huge profits. Okay, but later these traders started interfering in Indian politics and fighting among themselves to gain control over Indian territories. Okay, and next we will study about the importance of Indian trade. India had trade relations with many countries from ancient times. Indian goods were in great demand in Europe. India had trade relations with many countries from ancient times itself. Okay, Indian goods were always in a high demand because of their quality and uniqueness. For example, Indian cotton clothes were soft and attractive, and Indian spices were famous all over the world only. Okay, and Indian silk was considered luxurious. Okay, and European traders knew that if they directly traded with India, they could earn huge profits. Okay, that is why India became the center of attraction for many European countries. And next we will see the famous Indian products: peppers, cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, silk cloth, cotton textiles, indigo, and precious stones. These goods were sold at very high prices in India. Okay, some of the most famous Indian products were pepper, cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, silk cloth, cotton textiles, indigo, and precious stones. Among these, spices were extremely important because European countries used them daily. And Indian textiles were also very popular because they were beautiful and comfortable for that. Okay, and these products were sold at very high prices in Europe. So, European traders earned huge profits through Indian trade, and this increased their interest in India even more. And next, we will study about the trade routes before Europeans. Before the discovery of sea routes, Arab merchants controlled trade between India and Europe. European traders depended on Arabs. Many middlemen increased prices. Europeans wanted direct trade with India. This encouraged Europeans to search for alternative sea routes. Before Europeans discovered sea routes, trade between India and Europe was mainly controlled by Arab merchants. Okay, European trades could not directly come to India. They had to buy Indian goods through Arab traders and many middlemen, because many people were involved in the trade process. The prices of goods became very high, so Europeans wanted to discover a direct sea route to India to avoid middlemen and increase their profit. Okay, this is about trade routes before Europeans. And next we will study about the fall of Constantinople. In 1453, the Turks captured Constantinople. Effects: trade routes were blocked, taxes on goods increased, Europeans faced difficulty in obtaining spices, need for new sea routes increased. In 1453, the Turks captured Constantinople, okay, which was an important trade center connecting Europe and Asia. After capturing it, the Turks blocked important trade routes and increased taxes on goods passing through those routes. And these created serious problems for European traders, because getting Indian spices became difficult and expensive for them. So, as a result, Europeans started searching for alternative sea routes to India. Okay, next we will study about Renaissance and geographical discoveries. The Renaissance is Europe encouraged scientific thinking and exploration, developments, better ships, compass, astrolabe, improved world maps, navigation techniques. These developments encouraged sea voyages. Okay, at the same time, Europe was going through the Renaissance period. The Renaissance encouraged scientific thinking, curiosity, and exploration. People became interested in discovering new lands and sea routes. Okay, and new technologies also helped them. Better ships were built, compasses, astrolabes were used for navigation, and maps became more accurate. All these developments encouraged European sailors to travel through oceans and discover new trade routes. Next, we will see the reasons for arrival of Europeans. The main reasons is to obtain spices directly, to earn huge profits, to discover new sea routes, to spread Christianity, to establish colonies, to compete with rival European nations. Okay, there were several reasons why Europeans came to India. The first and most important reason was trade. They wanted spices and other valuable goods directly from India. Okay, and another reason was to earn huge profits and selling Indian goods in Europe. By selling Indian goods in Europe, they also wanted to discover new sea routes and spread Christianity and establish colonies and compete with rival European countries. So, trade, religion, and political competition together encouraged Europeans to come to India. Next, we will study about Portuguese exploration. The Portuguese were the first Europeans to search for a sea route to India. Prince Henry encouraged sea exploration, established navigation schools, helped sailors in geographical discoveries. The Portuguese were the first Europeans who seriously tried to discover a sea route to India. Okay, and the Prince Henry for Portugal played an important role in encouraging sea exploration, and he supported sailors, established navigation schools, and helped improve geographical knowledge. Because of this encouragement, Portuguese sailors became skilled in sea travel and started exploring unknown sea routes. And next, we will study about Vasco da Gama. Portuguese sailor reached Calicut in 1498, landed at Kapil near Calicut in Kerala. Welcomed by Zamorin ruler, he became the first European to discover the sea route to India. The Vasco da Gama was a Portuguese sailor who successfully discovered the sea route to India, and in 1498 he reached Calicut and landed at Kapat in present day Kerala, and the ruler of Calicut, known as Zamorin, welcomed him warmly and allowed trade activities. This was a historic event because Vasco da Gama became the first European to directly reach India through the sea route. And next we will see the importance of Vasco da Gama's arrival. Open direct trade between Europe and India, reduced dependence on Arab traders, increased European influence in India, beginning of European political interference. This event became a turning point in Indian history. Vasco da Gama's arrival completely changed the history of trade between Europe and India. Now, European countries could directly come to India without depending on Arab merchants. Okay, this increased European influence in Indian trade, and slowly opened the door for political interference also. And that is why historians consider Vasco da Gama's arrival as a major turning point in Indian history. Okay, this is about the Vasco da Gama's arrival. And next we will study about Zamorin of Calicut. Ruler of Calicut welcomed Vasco da Gama, allowed Portuguese traders to trade. Calicut became the first European trading center in India. Means the Zamorin was the ruler of Calicut. Then Vasco da Gama arrived and he welcomed the Portuguese because he thought foreign trade would help increase the wealth of his kingdom. So, and by allowing Portuguese traders to trade in Calicut and he indirectly helped Europeans to establish their first trading center in India. Okay, this is about Zamorin of Calicut. And next we will study about Portuguese in India. The Portuguese were the first Europeans to establish their political and commercial power in India. Their activities built forts, established factories, controlled sea trade, spread Christianity. After Vasco da Gama's success, the Portuguese started expanding their power in India. They established trading centers, built forts, and controlled sea routes also, and spread Christianity. Okay, and unlike ordinary traders, the Portuguese also used military power to control trade and remove competition. Okay, now next we will see the Portuguese trading centers: Goa, Daman, Diu, Cochin, and Basin. These centers became important for Portuguese administration and trade. The Portuguese established important centers at Goa, Daman, Diu, Cochin, and Basin. Among all these places, Goa became the most important center because it was used for administration, okay, and military activities and trade also. These centers helped the Portuguese strengthen their influence in India. And next we will study about Francisco de Almeida, first Portuguese viceroy in India, appointed in 1505. His main aim is to make Portuguese the strongest naval power in the Indian Ocean. The Francisco de Almeida was the first Portuguese viceroy in India. He was appointed in 1505, and his aim was to make Portugal the strongest naval power in the Indian Ocean, and he believed that controlling the sea was the key to controlling trades. Okay. Now next we will study about blue water policy. Almeida introduced the blue water policy. Objectives: strengthen naval power, control sea routes, defeat rival traders, establish monopoly over spice trade. Means Almeida first introduced the famous blue water policy. According to this policy, the Portuguese focused mainly on strengthening their navy and controlling sea routes instead of capturing large land territories. Okay, their main goal was to dominate Indian Ocean trade and defeat rival traders. This is about blue water policy. Alfonso de Albuquerque, the greatest Portuguese governor, captured Goa in 1510, made Goa headquarters of Portuguese power. He strengthened Portuguese military and administration. Means Alfonso de Albuquerque is considered the greatest Portuguese governor in India, and in 1510 he captured Goa and made the headquarters of Portuguese power in India, and he also strengthened the Portuguese administration and military power, okay, which helped them to remain powerful for many years. And next we will see Goa as Portuguese headquarters. Importance of Goa: administrative center, main trading center, center of Christianity, military headquarters. Goa remained under Portuguese control for many years. Means Goa became the center of Portuguese activities in India. It was used as administrative headquarters, trading centers, military center, religious center for spreading Christianity. Because of its importance, Goa remained under Portuguese control for a long time. Okay, and next we will study about Carter's system. Carter's system, Portuguese introduced a permit system for ships. Features: ships needed Portuguese permission. Ships without permits were attacked. Portuguese controlled Indian Ocean trade. Means the Portuguese introduced a permit system called the Carter system. Under this system, ships needed Portuguese permission to travel in the Indian Ocean. If any ship traveled without permission, the Portuguese attacked it. Okay, like that. This system helped them to control sea routes, sea trade, and maintain monopoly over trade routes. And next, we will study about the achievements of Portuguese and contributions. Introduced tobacco cultivation, introduced cashew and pineapple, encouraged shipbuilding, introduced printing press, built churches and forts. The Portuguese introduced several new things in India. Okay, they introduced crops like tobacco, cashew, and pineapple, and they encouraged shipbuilding and introduced the printing press. And they also built churches and forts in different regions. So, even though they were foreign rulers, they influenced Indian society in many ways. Okay, and next we will study the decline of Portuguese power. Religious intolerance, corruption, weak administration, opposition from Indian rulers, competition from Dutch and English, lack of support from Portugal. Means slowly Portuguese power started declining. There were many reasons for this. Okay, religious intolerance, corruption among officials, weak administration, or opposition from Indian rulers, strong competition from Dutch and French. Okay, because all of these problems, the Portuguese lost their dominance in India. And next we will study about the arrival of Dutch. The Dutch came to India after Portuguese. Dutch East India Company, established in 1602, main aim was spice trade, supported by Dutch government. After the Portuguese, first the Dutch entered India for trade purposes, and the Dutch East India Company was established in 1602 with the support of the Dutch government, and their main aim was to control the spice trade because spices were highly profitable in Europe. And the Dutch were mainly interested in business and trade activities, and they wanted to become rich through commerce and compete with the Portuguese in Asian trades. Okay, and next we will study about the Dutch trading centers. Surat, Pulicat, Nagapattinam, Cochin, Chinsu, they mainly concentrated on trade activities. Okay, these places became important centers for Dutch trade in India. Unlike some other Europeans, the Dutch mainly focused on trade activities and rather than building a large political empire in India. Okay, and next we will study the Dutch trade activities: spice trade, textile trade, export of Indian goods, competition with Portuguese. The Dutch became powerful traders in Asia. Means the Dutch mainly traded in spices and textiles, and they brought Indian goods at lower prices. Okay, and sold them in European markets for huge profits. And then the Dutch became powerful traders in Asia and created strong competition for the Portuguese. Okay, for some time they controlled a major part of spice trade in the east. Okay, and next we will study the decline of Dutch power. Conflict with English, lack of political interest, financial weakness, English naval superiority. Finally, Dutch power declined in India. Even though the Dutch were successful traders, their power slowly declined in India. One important reason was their conflict with the English was the English East India Company became stronger both economically and militarily. Okay, the Dutch were also less interested in political control in India and financial problems and English naval superiority, and finally weakened Dutch influence. Okay, and this is about the decline of Dutch power. And next we will study about the arrival of English East India Company. Established on 31st December 1600, formed by Queen Elizabeth, came to India mainly for trade. The English later became rulers of India. Okay, the English East India Company was established on 31st December 1600 through the uh, Queen Elizabeth of England. At the first, the English came only for trade, and they wanted spices, textiles, and other Indian goods, but later they slowly expanded their political power and finally established British rule in India. Okay, and next we will study about the Queen Elizabeth's charter. Queen Elizabeth granted permission to English merchants to trade in eastern countries. Importance: legal recognition for English trade, formation of East India Company, beginning of English trade in Asia. Queen Elizabeth granted official permission to English merchants to trade in eastern countries. Okay, and this permission is called the Charter of Queen Elizabeth. Because of this charter, the English East India Company was legally formed. English merchants got trading rights, and English trade is in Asia officially started. And this became the foundation for the future British expansion in India. Okay, and next we will study about the structure of English East Indian Company. Its features: managed by governor and directors, shareholders invested money, had military and naval forces, became economically powerful. Means the English East India Company had a well organized structure. It was managed by the governor, directors, shareholders who invested money. Okay, and the money even had its own army and navy. And this made the company very powerful because it was not just a trading company, it also had military strength. So, okay, and next we will study about the first English factory at Surat. First English factory in India, permission granted by Mughal Emperor Jahangir, became important trading center. Means the first English factory in India was established at Surat. Okay, and the Mughal Emperor Jahangir gave a permission to the English to establish this factory. And here The word factory does not mean manufacturing unit like today. It means a trading center or warehouse where goods were stored and traded. And Surat soon became an important center for English trade. Okay, and next we will study about the Sir Thomas Rao, ambassador of King James I, visited Jahangir's court in 1615, obtained trading rights for English. This strengthened English trade in India. Means Sir Thomas Rao was the ambassador sent by King James I of England to the court of Jahangir in 1615. Okay, and his main aim was to get trading rights and improve English relations with Mughal Empire, and he successfully obtained permission for English traders to establish factories in different places. Okay, and this greatly strengthened English trade in India. And next we will see the Mughal support to English. Allowed English factories, encouraged foreign trade, helped English establish business safely. This increased English influence. Means first the Mughal rulers supported English traders because they believed foreign trade would benefit the empire economically. Okay, and Jahangir allowed the English to establish factories and carry out the trade activities safely, and this support helped the English gain trust. Okay, and slowly increase their influence in India. Okay, next we will study about the English trading centers. Surat, Bombay, Madras, Calcutta, these became major centers of British administration later. Okay, from these places, the English expanded both their trade and political power. From these places, Surat, Bombay, Madras, and Calcutta. And next we will study about the Bombay. Received from Portuguese, developed into important port city, strengthened English trade in Western India. Okay, Bombay was originally under Portuguese control, and later it came under into English, and the English developed Bombay into an important port city because of its good coastal location, and Bombay became a major center for trade in Western India and helped strengthen English influence. Okay, and next we will study about Madras. Fort St. George established important English center in South India, developed as trading and administrative centers. In South India, English established Fort St. George in Madras. Okay, and Madras developed into an important trading and administrative center, and the English used Madras to control their activities in southern India. Okay, southern India. Next, we will study about Calcutta. Fort William established important English settlement in eastern India, became British headquarters later. In eastern India, the English established Fort William in Calcutta. Okay, and slowly it became one of the most important British settlements in India. Okay, and later it even became the headquarters of British administration for many years. And next we will see the forts built by English. Fort St. George, Madras; Fort William, Calcutta; Bombay Fort, Bombay. These forts protected English settlements. Okay, these forts protected English settlements from attacks and also showed their growing military powers. Okay, And next we will study about uh, the arrival of French. Established in 1664, entered India for trade, competed with English. So after the English, the French also entered India for trade purposes, and the French East India Company was established in 1664. Like other Europeans, the French also wanted to earn profits from Indian trade. Okay, soon they became strong rivals of the English in India. Okay, and next we will study about the French trading centers. Important French centers are Pondicherry, Chandenagore, Mahe, Karaikal, Yaman. Pondicherry became French headquarters. Okay, these are the important trading centers for France, and among these, Pondicherry became the headquarters of French activities in India. And next, we will study about the duplex. Famous French governor wanted to establish French political power in India, used Indian rulers against English. Okay, Duplex was one of the most famous French governors in India, and he wanted to establish French political power in India, not just a trade. Okay, to increase French influence, he involved himself in Indian politics and supported certain Indian rulers against others. Okay, and this created serious rivalry between the French and the English. Okay, and next we will study about the Anglo-French rivalry. The English and French competed for trade, territory, political control. This rivalry led to Carnatic War. The English means the English and the French started competing for trade, territory, and political power, and both wanted to become the strongest European power in India. Okay, their rivalry finally led to series of wars called Carnatic Wars. Okay, the Carnatic War. Next, we will study about the Carnatic Wars. There are three Carnatic Wars: First Carnatic War, Second Carnatic War, and the Third Carnatic War. These wars were fought mainly in South India. Okay, means the Carnatic wars were fought mainly in South India between English and French. And the three Carnatic wars are First, Second, Third Carnatic War. And these wars played an important role in deciding which European power would dominate India. Okay. First, we will study about the First Carnatic War. Began because of European conflicts. French captured Madras, ended with treaty. The First Carnatic War began because of conflicts happening in Europe. Okay, during this war, the French captured Madras from English, and however, later a peace treaty was signed, and Madras was returned to the English, and this war showed that European rivalries had now spread into India. Okay, this is about First Carnatic War. And next we will study about Second Carnatic War. English and French supported rival Indian rulers. French influence increased temporarily. English opposed duplex. Means in the Second Carnatic War, both the English and the French supported rival Indian rulers to increase their own influence. Okay, for some time the French power became stronger under duplex, but the English strongly opposed the French expansion and continued fighting against them. Okay, this is about Second Carnatic War. And next we will study the Third Carnatic War. English defeated French. French political power ended. English became supreme European power in India. Okay. The Third Carnatic War became the final and the most important war between the English and the French. And in this war, the English defeated the French completely. So, as a result, French political power in India came to the end. Okay, and English became the strongest European power in India. Okay, and next we will study about the results of Carnatic Wars. French lost political influence, English became powerful, British expansion increased rapidly. Means the Carnatic Wars had very important results. Means the French lost their political influence in India while the English became more powerful. Yes or no? After defeating the French, the English started expanding their control rapidly in different parts of the India. Okay, this became an important step towards British rule. Okay, and next we will study about the Battle of Plassey, fought between Siraj ud Daul and Robert Clive. English won the battle. Importance, beginning of British political rule in India. Means the Battle of Plassey was fought in 1757. Okay, between Siraj ud Daul, the Nawab of Bengal, and the English led by Robert Clive. Okay, the English won this battle mainly because of conspiracy and some officials of Bengal. This victory became very important because it marked the beginning of British political rule in India. Okay, and next we will see the causes of Battle of Plassey. Misuse of trading privileges by English, fortification without permission, conflict between Siraj ud Daul and English. Means there were several causes for the Battle of Plassey. Okay, the English were misusing trading privileges and fortifying their settlements without permission. Siraj ud Daul opposed these activities because he believed in the English were becoming too powerful. This conflict finally led to war. Okay, and next we will study about Robert Clive. Robert Clive was an English military officer, played important role in Battle of Plassey, helped establish British power in Bengal. Okay, Robert Clive was an important English military officer and he played a major role in the Battle of Plassey and helped the English to gain control over the Bengal. Okay, and because of this political and military strategies, British power increased rapidly in India. Okay, this is about Robert Clive. Next, we will study about the importance of Bengal. Bengal was important because fertile land, rich trade, large revenue, prosperous economy, control over Bengal made financially powerful. Means Bengal was one of the richest regions in India. It was important because of fertile agricultural land, rich trade, large revenue, and prosperous economy. When the English gained control over Bengal, they became financially very strong. Okay, and next we will study about the Battle of Buxar in 1764. English fought against Mir Qasim Shah Alam to Shauja ud Daul. Result, English became more powerful in India. Okay, Um the Battle of Buxar was fought in 1764. Uh, the English fought against Mir Qasim Shah Alam II, Shahjahan ud Daul. Okay, and the first yeah, and the English won this battle also, and their political power became even stronger in India. And next we will study about Daul government in Bengal. After Battle of Buxar, English received Diwani rights, collected taxes from Bengal. Nawab had only nominal authority. This system was called Daul government. Means after the Battle of Buxar, the English received Diwani rights, okay, which gave them the right to collect taxes from Bengal. And however, the Nawab still remained the nominal ruler, so administration was divided. Okay, the English collected revenue and the Nawab handled administration, and this system was called Daul government in Bengal. Okay, this is about Daul government in Bengal. And next we will study about the reasons of English success. Strong navy, better military organization, financial strength, political diplomacy, weak Indian rulers, defeat of rival Europeans. Okay, there were many reasons for the success of the English in India. The English had strong navy, better military organization, financial strength, and clever political diplomacy. At the same time, Indian rulers were divided and weak. The English also defeated rival European powers like the French and the Dutch. Okay, and next we will study about the impact on Indian economy. Drain of wealth, decline of handicrafts, exploitation of farmers, poverty increased, Indian industries suffered greatly. Means the arrival of Europeans, especially the British, had a negative impact on Indian economy. Okay, and the Indian wealth was drained to England. Traditional handicraft industries declined because British goods entered Indian markets, and the farmers were heavily exploited through taxes, and poverty increased in many regions. Okay, and next we will study about the social and cultural impact. Western education, printing press, modern scientific ideas, Christian missionary activities, these influenced Indian society. Okay, this changed influenced Indian society in both positive and negative ways. And next we will study about the overall effects of European arrival. Okay, development of trade, new crops introduced, modern education, it is positive effects, and the negative effects is political domination, exploitation of Indian wealth, decline of Indian industries. Okay, these are the overall effects of European arrival. Now we will see the conclusion. The arrival of Europeans began as trade relations but later turned into political domination. Portuguese, Dutch, French, English competed with each other, but finally the English became successful and established British rule in India. The advent of Europeans became major turning point in Indian history. Okay, to conclude, Europeans first came to India mainly for trade purposes, and the Portuguese, Dutch, French, and the English all competed with each other to gain power. Finally, the English became successful and established British rule in India, and so the advent of Europeans became a major turning point in Indian history, because it completely changed India's political and economic conditions. Okay, so this was a complete explanation of chapter The Advent of Europeans to India. I hope this video helped you understand. The lesson is very simple and clear way. If you found this explanation useful, then like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon for more educational content. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.